We're really delighted that now we're able to offer Consultant Connect across the whole of Lanarkshire. So any GP, any paramedic, any ANP who wants to chat through something to do with care of the elderly or frailty can now access geriatrician advice across Hare Myers, Wishaw and Monkland sites. And when they phone up Consultant Connect, they immediately get fed through to the appropriate site. So it's really great to be able to offer that now. I've had experience of it at Hare Myers for the last year or two, and I really see its value. So I think it's really great that we can now offer this across the whole of the area. Certainly, from our point of view, the conversations we've had are really productive, and there's lots of different ways where I think it's got its use around sort of investigation side of things. So what investigation might be appropriate for a patient, or indeed is it not appropriate, and is it not going to add value, or has there been a recent investigation, something done already recently that negates the need. So having that sort of conversation. We have calls about treatment, so what's the most appropriate treatment, or indeed, they're on a host of medications, as often our frail, complex patients are, and is there something we can stop there, so something around deprescribing. We also have calls around the appropriateness of either admission or investigation, and I think that's a really kind of important and quite a satisfying conversation where two healthcare professionals can have a chat and kind of share that decision making, because often it's quite difficult to know how far to take something, or indeed if the person should be admitted, or should we try and manage things in the community. And it's quite a lot for a healthcare worker in the community who only has X amount of time to try and make these quite important decisions, and that kind of shared decision making I think can be really beneficial to all parties. Other areas where I think it's got value is around signposting. So we're working in silos a wee bit, and community knows something's going on in community, and we know something's going on in acutes, but that kind of bridging that a bit and be able to, the geriatrician be able to offer other options. So hospital at home is fantastic, but it's it's only able to take X amount of patients. We're now looking to try and do a bit more there. So over the winter we're going to have evening working across the whole area, and weekend working where we're now taking news at weekends. So that's an option for GPs, and we can discuss that through Consultant Connect if we think, if the GP or the healthcare worker in the community hasn't thought of that, or we can signpost there. But other options, rapid access to certain clinics. We do general clinics, general care of the elderly clinics, we do falls clinics, movement disorders, stroke. But sometimes the waits can be more than maybe it should be for that particular case. So is there some way we can try and get patients seen sooner in that area? Investigations, again, is there something we can try and expedite? Is it more a rehab or a social issue, and coming to an understanding around that and be able to signpost there. So signposting is a big part of it. And then I guess once we're more familiar with each other, and perhaps a GP or an ANP's had a similar issue with it and now has a new patient, well, the value of Consultant Connect is that they can kind of reflect on the previous conversation and perhaps begin to try and go forward themselves without having to pick up the phone again. Well, that worked last time, tweaking the medicines like that and doing this, or actually that specialist didn't think was appropriate to do that test, and maybe we'll hold tight and we can reassess things, and just that kind of, I guess, learning and a bit of education around it. And understand also more about what resources are available. There's some of the big hits I see with Consultant Connect. I don't know what you think and where you've had experience, Kat.
So I think for GPs, Consultant Connect is a really good tool to help our patients with managing frailty. Sometimes as a GP you can feel really stuck with your frail patients, that the only things that you've got to offer are primary care based interventions, which we're obviously very good at, or admission. And hospital at home has been great, but it's also an intensive resource and it is often full. So having that ability to speak to somebody who's an expert in frailty and to share some of the really quite complex decision making can make you feel less alone as a GP. It also can help the patient feel quite empowered that my GP is taking me seriously. They phone the consultant at the hospital and they're making steps to help me with this. I think wait times are important. They do make GPs feel stuck. And the fact that we can phone and get advice while patients are experiencing waits, which allows patients to wait well with their conditions, can also just add to better care for the patient. I also feel really strongly about trying to improve the interface between primary and secondary care, and I think that that works very well with frailty and care of the elderly, because these are the patients that come into general practice all the time. We see them all the time, and this is a real example of where we can work really well together and improve these relationships. And if we do work together as a team, it's better for our patients, and then better for the number of patients coming into general practice as well.
Yeah, that relationship building is really important, isn't it? And
it is really important, yeah.
More joint working and just getting to know each other, and knowing that we're accessible, and you said that you said you're seeing lots of these patients. We're seeing lots, but often they're the same patients coming through. And so, there's certainly similar themes, isn't there? So it's a really good way just to kind of try and manage things together and share the risk. There's risk here, isn't there? Especially when you're maybe not doing things and you're saying to family or to patient, we're not. But actually, that's based on experience and evidence, and and that joint working kind of just gives a bit of confidence to the person, the community, to kind of take that plan forward. So I think that's real value in this.
Especially when I think the patient is a bit more complex. I had a patient in my care home recently who had very, very difficult future care planning decisions to be made. The family had been very, very upset about hospital admission and about decisions that had been made. It was one of the most complex consultations and conversations that I've ever had to have. And I was able to speak to the consultant, and we were able to make a plan together that we then both wrote down in a letter that was from both of us, and it was like, we are the two doctors that are looking after your mum, and this is what we think. And I think that just helped communication, it helped joint thinking. It made me feel so much less alone with the decision making than I normally would have. And because you are alone as a GP, you don't have a big team around you to back you up or to help you with decisions. So from that point of view, it just worked perfectly. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, you're definitely more. I guess you're more exposed, aren't you? You don't have the rapid access things that we're talking about. So I think that is a real asset there. Because we have calls, on similar themes of really, just very challenging anticipatory care planning, perhaps where there's different voices in the family. The patient, the relatives might have a different take on it, and the GP may be stuck in the middle of that. So it's like a neutral but experienced person that can just kind of have a listen and then and come together. And I think that's a good idea. I've used that. Somebody's actually putting things on paper and having our portal so that it's there and not just a conversation, in which can be just really help just kind of back things up, especially if there's different people become involved, out of hours or whatever else, which often happens.
So my experience of kind of practically using it was, obviously you have the app on your phone. It's really straightforward to use. You put in the CAI number and it puts you through to the consultant. If that consultant can't answer, it then goes to the next consultant down the line. In recent times, I've never had any problem getting through to consultants, and it's very, very quick. So compared to the old model where you would phone a secretary and leave a message and they would call you back, you're getting immediate access to a specialist opinion and advice, and you're able to do that with the patient there. And I think the patient often benefits from that, from hearing that conversation and hearing that you've advocated from them. So does it add time to the consultation? Yes, but not more so than any previous models, and overall it enhances patient care and then reduces the comeback into general practice.
Brilliant, that's really good to hear. I guess typing a letter takes time, doesn't it, as well? Yeah. And the patient's maybe gone by then. So our experience is, if it's not particularly intrusive for us, because if you can't take it, it goes to someone else. But there's enough geriatricians that you should be able to get a quick response. And that's, life in the NHS is busy. So that's a really brilliant thing about this.